now back to TSPN News with Tom Slivick. Comprehensive news because in today's world, you need more than just sound bites. TSPN streaming on the World Wide Web and on demand at tspntv.com.
Well, hi everyone, and welcome back. And with me is Chairman of the Board, Richard Forster. How are you doing, Richard?
How are you?
Okay, Tuesday's meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or if you're watching this on Tuesday early, you've got a chance to get on down and weigh in. Go ahead.
I think everybody will want to. I don't have kids of age anymore to be showing animals. I almost have grandkids. They're coming around, but that's why I used to want to get this meeting over quickly. But I still would like to get over to the fair tomorrow, and you know, it's kind of fun. And we do have a barbecue tomorrow night, put on by the Jackson Rotary Club, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. But starting off the meeting tomorrow, we have a couple of resolutions to present. One is Susie Morton from our auditor's office. Everybody knows Susie Morton. Who were her parents? Any ideas?
No.
You had the Garberini family.
Okay. All
so,
right.
Babe Garberini, a longtime institution in Amador County.
Yes.
Babe and Marie Garberini, they own the Ledger Dispatch for quite a while, and that's where Susie got her first job there, proofreading the newspapers.
There you go.
But years later, she ended up in Amador County in March 16th of 1989, and now 24 years later, she's retiring.
Okay. Now, for people that don't know me very well, know that I know a lot of people, but I don't jog their name to their faces right away.
Okay. Anyway, Susie, it started out with John Kirkpatrick. Some people may know him, our former county auditor. And she started as a account clerk 3. And that's because she held many other positions in the private sector to allow her to start at that level. But now, years later, she's retiring under Auditor Joe Lowe, who worked as a deputy to John Kirkpatrick as a payroll specialist, too. So basically, she's the top dog over there paying people.
Okay, so she's come up through the ranks.
That's right. So that's kind of like what we see in the county. We're kind of a county family-run operation. So congratulations to Susie, and I'm sure she'll have a great time with her grandchildren. I think she's got 6 of them, and her husband's still working with the fire department in Jackson. But congratulations to her. And then we have Roger Stewart retiring from our Public Works Department. Roger's retiring again after 24 years, something they have in common. But he's got an interesting career. He started out, he was in Indiana, attended Purdue University, got a BS there in forest management, and then he turned around, that was in 1981, no, that was in about, I don't know what year, but they said in 1981 he turned around and got his degree in civil engineering technology, 1988, so 7 years later, from Oregon Institute of Technology. So that enabled him to start his career in Amador County in 1989 as in the Public Works Department as a junior civil engineer under Rod Schuler, our former Public Works Director. And then in July 2006, Roger was appointed to the senior project engineer, and he held that position until today. And one thing they comment about Roger, was always very good about solving problems, getting people together, and I can attest to that. So,
okay, great.
Congratulations to those people. We do have a resolution to the Amador County Historical Society recognizing them for opening the museum on June 15, 2013. They signed an agreement with the Board of Supervisors on May 14th of this year to enable them to go in and do that. So Phil Gerlani has led that crew with the Historical Society, and they've done a great job there.
They've done a fantastic job.
That's right.
People would like to see some of that. There's that link is on TSPN's website and also on YouTube.
That's right, and go to the museum and see it. It's open, 3 or 4 days a week?
I'd rather, go to the museum. It's a great place.
Go to the website, TSPN website. Sierra Nevada Conservancy, Jim Branham will be in. He's the executive director. Going to talk about the history of the Sierra Nevada Conservancy and give kind of an update on what they've done in Amador County. They've actually, they were involved with Prop 84, which had a little over $1 million in grants. They have about exhausted that money, but they've had 6 grantees in Amador County: Amador Fire Safe Council, the Community Foundation, Amador Water Agency, the California Land Stewardship Institute, and we can keep on
Are
going.
they looking at putting any off-site more water storage for Amador County anywhere?
You know, what they fund is studies basically to start things like that on the Moke River and things like that. So Mr. Branham will answer those questions tomorrow, but they try to look at healthy communities and sustainability. So it's a good organization, they just don't have a lot of funding. What they're looking for right now, if the Sierra Nevada Conservancy is even going to stay around, is to be included in a bond measure so they get funding to allocate out to different agencies. Without that, they may not even be around in the future. So they participate in the Great Sierra River cleanup, and specifically some things Mr. Branham's going to talk about tomorrow: the Amador Calaveras Consensus Group, the McCallum Avoided Cost Analysis, and the Cornerstone CFLR project. So talking about the future, he's going to talk about bond measures and regional initiatives, and then administering the last of the Prop 84 grants. Then our Health Benefits Advisory Committee will...
Can I ask a question, Richard?
Yes.
Who decides on the bond measures if they go forward?
The voters will vote on it, but right now the state legislature is putting together the language as to who will be included in the bonds.
Okay.
I know in the water bond that they're looking at was about $11 billion, and there was some fear that the voters might reject it because it's $11 billion. I think that's probably a good fear to have.
I think a lot of people, we get the story that the state is doing much better, but we don't say that we have about $88 billion in unfunded liabilities for pensions.
Yeah. It basically means still, Tom, that
We're broke.
many of our legislators in Sacramento have not figured it out. And I think many of our administrators in Sacramento have not figured it out.
Well,
we
let's hope
need to stop
Detroit,
spending so much money.
Maybe Detroit wake them up a little bit, and you can't run yourself out of money.
I don't think they're going to wake up till they're broke, till we're absolutely bankrupt, because they just can't figure out you can't spend more than you bring in. So our Health Benefits Advisory Committee will come in with recommendations to the county. It looks good on the medical side. The rates appear to be pretty stable. They are recommending on the dental side that the county put in an additional almost $11,000 to go to a different plan for dental that will, it's still a 90% employer contribution plan. You know, $10,000 is not a lot of money, but it's not chump change either. So it's something, $10,744, something the county may have to think about. That's the additional base plan cost. So that's something we're going to have to look at. And then we have a community development block grant public hearing tomorrow. We'll have Terry Cox come in with Cox Consulting and talk about this. The only grant program we have looked at right now, or the one that has been submitted, is a program Supervisor Novelli brought forward with Amador Water Agency Director Rich Farrington to actually help with the pressure situation upcountry in a zone upcountry. The impediment there is they have to go in and assess the area and determine if they have enough low or moderate income in that area. If your income range goes too high on some of these federal type applications, then you're not going to get funded. So you might as well not even consider it. So what they're looking at is there are changes that have been made. Ms. Cox told us at our administration committee meeting to this community development block grant program. Those changes, one, require districts to have spent 50% of their granted funds already. They can only have 3 activities going at one time. They have to set aside $100,000 for planning grants. And then the whole structure of the notices of funding availability or NOFAs have changed now. Last year in 2012, they issued what they called a super NOFA that included all activities except for the economic development activities. This year, they seem to be coupling more of those activities together, and that's why you have to have somebody like Terry Cox come in from Cox Consulting. They deal with this.
You know what all this means and all the changes are.
They deal with this stuff all the time, and she understands what's going on.
Okay. there'll be someone there to help bring some clarity, because I was getting a little muddled myself as to what you were saying.
But even in our administration committee meeting, Ms. Cox said they're about ready to issue these NOFAs, notices of funding availability, but they don't have the rules clarified yet. So she's still waiting to see what their exact rules are going to be. Also, what she has to do is come in and...
Why does so much government seem to be getting ahead of its requirement to have clarity of what things are? Why is that seemingly happening now?
I think sometimes they need to get back to just basics and common sense. That's what it comes down to. They have too much paperwork involved sometimes. Everybody's worried about covering their backside instead of getting the job done. She also has to give a report tomorrow, an annual report on the previous activities, the previous grant activity, and those were, she'll give a grantee performance report for the county's housing stabilization and homeless prevention program for a grant that was executed in January of this year. 63 persons have received housing stabilization services, 48 have received homeless services, and 34 have received assistance for Meals on Wheels.
We have a little time. Can you give us what do those first two, we know what Meals on Wheels are, I do. What are the other things? What do they get with that?
The housing stabilization and the homeless services, I think that money went to ATCA, and I think they were the applicant for this grant.
Okay.
And ATCA actually went out and administered the program.
Okay.
And they do a great job. ATCA has so many arms where they help people.
Right, sure.
That this was a big program. But you know, this just started first part of the year, but that was when the grant was issued, and they were right in the middle of winter, so they needed a lot of help at that time too. There's still a lot of homeless people out there, and people might say, well, Amador County doesn't have any homeless people.
You know,
they sure do.
They're not as obvious.
That's right.
Okay.
You just need to know
also,
where
I think the definition has expanded, or what some people might think of a homeless person is just a person who's homeless on the street,
right.
The typical stereotype. But there's a broader view or broader criteria.
Well, and there's still people out there living in their cars, and
right.
and they just
under the bridges.
People have lost their homes under the bridges, under the library. I mean, they're all over the county, and they're. You know what, some of them have mental illness, some of them have drug or alcohol issues, but some are just people that got in financial difficulty, right. and you know, it could be you or me someday, who knows. So you don't want to treat them like pariahs out there either. You want to try and help them. So these grantee performance reports, also she's coming in with one for our program, Income Reuse Fund for the Housing Rehabilitation Program. This is a program where they go out, obviously, and help people kind of fix up their homes and get them livable again.
Okay.
So,
okay.
With that, Ms. Cox.
With that, we have, I believe, about a minute and a half. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ms. Cox asked for the board to approve that annual report every year, and then we have to open it up for the public. That's why we have a public hearing. We'll have other people probably come in with grant applications also. And then I don't believe the board makes a decision today or tomorrow as to what grant applications will be awarded. That will come at a later time, but we just open this public hearing for the process of taking those applications.
Okay.
So
right.
I wouldn't be surprised if we have additional applications come in.
Okay. And so tomorrow, Board of Supervisors meeting starts at what time?
9 o'clock, and I would imagine this public hearing doesn't start till 10:30. You know, should be a fairly quick meeting, but you never know with our board. So.
Right, this is an opportunity for people to talk, and a lot of people like to talk and be heard and go on record.
That's right.
Okay. Thanks, Richard, for coming by.
Okay,
and
Tom.
If you're interested, attend that board meeting. And we're going to take a break, and maybe I'll get back to the weather. If not, let me just tell you right now, it's going to be hot, but not as hot as it was. And we're starting to cool down a little bit for the fair, I hope. So see you right after this break.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.